This shit's fire.
What is happening, everybody? Cool Jules, and we back again in the building. As always, Cool Jules here, and we have Andy and Delix Rowe,
hello, everybody.
Chris, the show, Simko, and our special guest of the, well, evening for them, afternoon for us, with the official Pin the Gas nickname, the Axeman, Forest Dunn.
Welcome, Forest.
I didn't know
Welcome.
about that name. So,
The Axeman.
I didn't know about it, but I like it.
Awesome.
Exactly. That's what we do. That's our whole like mystique is that we bring the guest on here and they don't know what their nickname is until we tell them, and then it's their choice whether to adopt the nickname or drop it. But for us, you'll always
try
be the
and keep
Axeman.
Nice.
Do you do any like outdoor activities that may involve an axe?
I used to, yeah. We used to have pretty boring, but I used to have a log burner, so I was forever chopping wood. Yeah, I've got an axe in the shed down the bottom of the garden, got a chainsaw, got all that good stuff. So,
Oh, we did this right then. We did this
yeah,
right.
yeah. I've got another friend who might disagree. He's probably the Axeman, but I'll adopt it for now.
Very cool.
Nah, you got to show him up, man. You got to show him that. Now it's your official PTJ nickname. You got to show him who the real Axeman is. Or if you're like cutting through people on the track, then that's kind of a way to use that analogy of an Axeman. Like, you know what I mean?
I'd say I'm probably too old for that now. I probably think about my passes before I do them. But
or if you cut anybody in traffic, the Axeman.
yeah, I do that in the van all the time. Yeah.
There you go.
So,
now,
places to be,
Yeah, exactly. Now, Forrest, these are the gentlemen that brought you on. So,
yeah.
whichever one in between y'all two want to take it, go ahead.
All right, I'll take over.
Of course you would. Of course you would.
Forrest, thank you for joining our show, man. We appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
We usually start the show giving you the opportunity with telling us about yourself, who you're racing with, and what's going on with you. So we'll leave the panel and we'll leave it up to you. Go ahead.
Okay, so I'm Forest Dunn, based in the UK, obviously. Pretty much raced for myself most of my career. I've been doing it sort of nearly 10 years now. Doing the Irish roads, the TT. Might be looking at doing the international roads next year, but that's a work in progress at the moment. So.
Okay.
Yeah, there's not a lot to tell, I guess. I think there is a lot to tell, but it would take forever. So,
No, I mean, we got some time, man. Listen, anything that you want to get off your chest.
Now's the time.
The weather, the currency, like anything that you want to get off your chest, because we like to give people the opportunity.
Lots of things.
Lots. Oh my God, where do I begin?
I'm like an angry little man at the moment, so there's plenty on my chest, but
Very cool. Very cool.
Yeah.
The show.
Yeah. So Forrest, tell me about the experiences you have racing at the Isle of Man TT and what it's like, because it's a dream of mine to one day. And we've had this conversation that I'm gonna come over there and visit. So, what's it like?
Mind blowing. Probably the first couple of times, obviously you start to get a feel for it as time goes on, but your first couple of times it's insane. There's things are moving that quickly, and there's so much to take in. You can't. It's impossible to sort of, you can't do it all in a year. It's not in one TT. It's impossible. It's just everything, the whole atmosphere, the racing. It's just sort of too much for the brain. Really, it's is the way I'd put it. Certainly, that was my experience, and especially my first TT. I went there on a 1000cc, which was just stupid idea, but
Right.
No,
but that was.
I understand, Forrest, that you're riding the Super Stock 1000 with the Suzuki for the next
Yeah.
season, right? I believe you just signed
Yes.
up. You just signed up with them.
Finally, a real
Well,
rider.
it's my own bike. It's actually it's sat there in the corner.
Okay.
So.
Yay!
That's a real man's bike.
That's
Suzuki all day, baby.
I'm a big Suzuki fan. I think I was. I think it was yourself, Andy. I think you shared a couple
I did.
earlier today.
Yes,
Yeah.
three of them.
The ones with the Vance and Hines. Yeah. That's my sort of thing.
Those are old school. I remember when I was going to mechanic school in here in Florida, and I remember seeing those bikes back in the day, and they're just amazing, you know, to me. I grew up seeing these machines, so.
Yeah. Well, I raced the slab side. I did my first classic TT on one of them.
Okay.
Only had like 100 horsepower, and it's something that me and my best friend sort of threw together in a week. But it was, we got through it. We finished the race, so
that's the important part. Finishing that particular race is the most important.
Only 100 horsepower, no big deal.
Yes. Yeah, right.
That's more horsepower
What
than
are
a
you
regular
talking
person
about?
can. Yeah, that's right, Chris. Like,
My
it's more
lawnmower's
horsepower
got
than a
more than that.
regular.
What are you talking about?
Hey, Forrest. So let me ask you this. I'm gonna jump right in it, man. What does it take you to prepare yourself for this this battle of the Isle of Man TT, because it's a constant fight that you're doing to get yourself on the track. Can you explain that
Balls
to
of
us?
titanium.
What are you talking, like winter prep, or just the whole
mentally? How do you
shebang.
prep yourself mentally? How do you prep your machine? What does your team assist? Who is your team? Things like that.
Right. We'll probably So we'll start mental preparation. For me personally, I think it's different for other guys, but I think obviously a good bit of training over the winter. Obviously making sure you're fit, that helps with your mental side of things. But I've always, I used to put the TT up on a pedestal. I had to bring it back down for me to make, I still respect the place, but I had to bring it back to another piece of tarmac to understand the place. And I had to sort of, it is obviously, it's out of this world, but it is something that I had to dull it down so that it would compute for me. Okay. Right. Which was my own personal way of dealing with it, I guess. The machines, you've got to go, you start months before you got to go top to bottom. There's, everything from getting like because we run a 24-litre endurance tank on them. So, just getting those to fit in the bikes is like the biggest probably challenge, I would guess. And then, there's all these parts that either need Loctite, lock wiring, and it's up to you. It's like anything. It's like doing a paint job on a car. It's all in the prep. The more time you spend preparing, the better chance you've got of a good finish. So, if you don't put the work in early, you're not going to see the results at the other end. It's as simple as that. And you do watch some people don't put in. Luckily, I've not had any major mechanical failures or you get the odd silly. Usually we've got to run a rain light at the TT. That's got to be on all the time. And that's the only bit that ever catches me out in scrutineering, because they get, the LEDs get battered, and so that's like one of my daily checks. It's always that. It's something stupid usually, but it's if you get you sort of take care of the little things. The big things are easy. It's not. Make sure you've got a fresh engine for going over there. That's like you're sort of stupid not to go there with a fresh engine. It's silly things like that.
I could also imagine that it gives you like a little peace of mind to know that every little thing, every little bolt every little light works. Like it doesn't matter how if the decal is sitting the right way, like that's how I would be too.
Freak out too.
Yeah, to the stupidest thing, like I'll be like, yo, why is that sticker crooked? You know what I mean? Like, fix that shit.
I mean, that's part of it though. Like, you know, and certainly something I've tried to bring in the last couple of years. You know, I looking back at my first TT, you know, my setup was a joke, really. You know, it was, you know, the awning, the set, you know, it looked. I'd be embarrassed to show you, you know, and presentation is a big part of it now, you know, like if you look good, you feel good, you go good. That's sort of massive thing, you know.
Yeah.
So.
Exactly. I tell people that all the time. Like sometimes, you know, it's more than enough to make sure that that everything's ordered. But if everything just looks good and just gives you that confidence, I feel like it helps.
Yeah. Well, it's taking pride in your work, isn't it?
That too.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Show
and like,
like in order to enter an Ironman TT race, nobody can just show up and sign up.
Yeah, you can't. Those days are gone.
Right. So why don't you tell everybody how you actually go to enter the TT race?
Awesome
what
question.
Steps do you have to do? Do you have to do pre-race? Have certain races underneath your belt? Go, stuff like that.
Absolutely, yeah. So obviously, I mean, you'll probably have a grading system in your, you know, over in the States. We've got, you know, you start novice, clubman, national. So you need a national license as a minimum requirement, or an international. But then from there on, you know, the guys who run the TT will look at your results, you know, where you've been racing, how fast you've been going, you know, whether it's worth even giving you an entry. It's like almost like an invitation sort of, or, you know, there's definitely a selection process, and because they get, you know, nowadays they get so many entries, the grids are full all the time, so they've got to then sift through and make sure, you know, who's fit to race and who's not. And you know, especially like this year, there was sort of quite a bit of, you know, because they've got the grids because the speeds have gone up, so there's a lot of people that maybe didn't get an entry, which, you know, obviously upset people, you know. But it's one of them. You can't really, the fastest man can't be coming up on the slowest man halfway through a race. It's not. You know, it's tough. Like, you can see it from both sides, and you know. But then, you know, outside of that, then you've got to do. So, like for next year's TT, I would have had to have completed 4 races this year, this season, and then at least two races next season, and you know, and finish within a certain speed. You know, so it's. And they do, you know, they check all this. They work very closely with the licensing department in the UK. So it's, you know, they do spend a lot of time selecting the grids. You know, so I'm lucky. Like, I feel lucky. It was always, you know, when I started racing, you know, that's what I said. You know, I said on the day I bought my race bike, I'm going to the TT. But it was like, you know, the work that it took to get there. I mean, I did it within sort of like 3 years of starting racing, but I really pushed hard. You know, I was racing at a national level halfway. You know, I was doing stock 1,000 halfway through my second season. So, you know, my first road race, the Northwest 200, within the sort of, you know, within that time as well. So it didn't take long to, you know, and it was a steep learning curve. It was really steep.
That's
so
awesome.
with all that preparation and with all that certifications to get into to even race in the TT, did they add for like 2022 or for 2023 next year that at the entrance that whoever inspects your stuff feels how hard your balls are if they're made out of steel before you race.
Bro, that's awesome.
I feel like that should be a part of the like,
man,
nah, man, nah,
good.
you ain't hard enough, bro. Like,
Yeah, they're too
No,
soft. Come back next year.
you're too soft, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I'd feel, probably a bit uncomfortable with the scrutineers doing that. They're all quite old,
Come
so
here.
it's, most of them are men as well, so.
Just I don't. No. Hey, you. What do you think? Come here. Nah, I need a third opinion, yo. Nah, because it takes some serious like cojones to race.
That's right.
That, and like we've been talking Isle of Man for like the last few weeks now, and it's just
That's right.
Yeah.
and it to me, no matter how many races I watch, I watched a couple documentaries on YouTube. I still can't fathom the actual adrenaline rush of the actual track, because like it's mind blowing to me, and I feel like you have to. It's not enough to see like a GoPro footage of it, which I have, which is insane. But I feel like just being there and watching them, not even like let alone racing it, is enough to kind of like feel what the energy is like, just being there. So,
Like I've spectated before, and actually, like my first TT went really quite badly. I didn't qualify for the 2 superbike races, and I was really sort of quite bitter about it, and really upset, because it was like it took so much to get there. But my friends sort of talked me around into like watching the races, and actually, you sort of appreciate what, because I'd never been to the Isle of Man before a race there. I'd never, I did I did the newcomers. They send like newcomers on like these training weekends sometimes. And I've done those, and you go around in a car, but it's nothing like, no, even even if you go around on a road bike at just normal road speeds, it's not the same.
Yeah, it wouldn't be the same, because you're adding another 175 miles per hour to the car or whatever.
Well, I crashed on my first unsupervised lap, so.
Wow.
I tell you, Forrest, I'd still be scared to ride down that thing on a freaking pedal bike, dude. Like,
It's a steep hill. Yeah, it's very steep.
Yeah, like that whole layout is just death defying. I'd probably even be scared driving around in my Ford Focus. Like, I'd be like, man,
I'm the fastest man in a Ford Fiesta around there, but just don't tell everyone.
Oh man.
Hey, Forrest,
I've always wanted to drive one of those.
Hey, Forrest, so the track is, I keep saying 36, but it's 37 miles?
37.
I think it's 37 3/4. I should probably know that, but
so let's round it up to 37. That's fine. I keep saying 36, but 37
37
and a quarter. And you memorize every single turn on this road.
Yeah. But it takes time.
I'm sure it takes time, training, probably playing some videos to learn the roads and things like that. How does it feel when you line up and you have all those bikes lined up right behind one another, and you get to that area where it says, you got the canopy Dunlop. And it says Dunlop, and the gentleman with the beer is always there. It's the same guy every year. And he gives you that, and you go. How does that feel like?
I don't know if he's.
That's the I mean, you up until that point you're nervous. There's always a buzz. It's kind of like, I try and sort of almost kind of go in on myself a bit, I guess. And, once I'm sat on the bike, I don't want anyone to talk to me. I don't want to, I just want to
focus.
And once the shoulder, once he does that, that's it. Just clutch out, and obviously the Suzuki's got, it's the first bike I've had with launch control. So it's just meant you just dump it and go.
Hang on.
It's good.
On. Very cool. Very cool.
Yeah, that's great.
The layout of the track and the fact that you memorize every corner, do they the importance, and this goes back to what you said about your bike, about like the preparation, making sure that everything is exactly the way that you memorize it and you've seen it.
Yeah.
Is it the same way with the track? Like let's say just for shits and giggles, they build a McDonald's in one of the corners. Will that something like that throw you off? Like, whoa, that post
It can do, yeah.
my braking
Absolutely,
zone.
Yeah, absolutely. That sort of, you know, but a lot of these changes, you get like you get told about them in the briefing. You've got an opportunity to go check them out a couple of days before. So, but it certainly can throw you. You know, even there's just, you know, silly little thing, you know, because a lot of, you know, that you'll find on the way down or on the way round, there's things like little markers. Somebody's painted a drain cover somewhere or a fence post, and so. But obviously, if some of that's been moved, you know, there's one section, Glen Tramon, which is they've opened that up. They've taken all these trees away now. So it feels so much faster. It feels like it's obviously not, but it feels like you're at Silverstone. It's wide open now. It's crazy.
You can breathe.
You know, and that again, you know, your perceptions change going through there. Like you say, I mean, you know, the McDonald's thing. They've just built a supermarket on one section.
Nice.
And the curb maybe sticks out a little bit further. You shouldn't really be on that side of the road, but it is there, you know. So it's like stuff like that definitely does. Yeah, it can. It can throw. Yeah,
I can just imagine. I'm that type of dude that little thing will bother me a lot. You know, big. Mm-hmm. So if I was racing, you know, the Alaman TT, which I want to do perfect, and I'm a perfectionist kind of guy. Like I want to make sure that everything is perfect. Check the light bulbs and everything, make sure that everything is working. So if I was to notice something like that, that would throw me off. I would have a flip out. I would flip out.
Yeah.
Especially the grocery store, man. Like if I were to wipe out and then wipe into the grocery store, into the dairy section, that's a double whammy for me because I can't handle my dairy.
Well, I mean, I think, you know, the bit that does me is, you know, you'll be in fifth or sixth gear somewhere going through, and somebody will be that maybe wasn't there the day before. Somebody be stood there with a yellow jacket or a red jacket. Well, obviously we've got yellow and red flags. Do you know what I mean? For safety reasons. So that can really throw you. If somebody's got a jacket on and you've only just caught it in your peripheral, and you're like, right, has something happened? And you're like, because obviously you don't want to lose your lap time, but you're sort of at the same time, is something around the next corner, or was that a guy with a jacket? You know.
Yeah.
You know, it's quite. It's that can definitely. You know, that's probably the bit that throws me. You know.
So if that's the case, they should like implement like, I won't say like a dress code, but like do not wear any brightly colored clothes.
But of course they can't do that, you know.
Not to the people,
but it's for safety, though. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I would think.
I mean, there was one. Of it. There was one year. There was something that was really bothering me. Really.
Take off your jacket, motherfucker.
That's it.
No, it was a car. It was a car.
It was a car.
Oh, it was a car.
It was a car, and it was parked in a driveway. And so when you go over Crosby, Leap, and come down, you're in sixth gear. And it's the fastest part of the circuit, really. They say that Solby Straight's the fastest part, but for me, all my bikes are nearly topped out in sixth at the bottom of Crosby, and I'm sure, you know, a lot of other guys will agree with me. They just haven't got a speed trap there. So, but just as you got to the bottom and you're coming into like Greba Castle and all that next section, there's a house and there was a drive, you know, there's this massive wall. It's like, you know, it's quite like 15-foot tall wall. And there was just this front bumper of a car poking out.
Ooh.
And obviously, like, I used to ride on the road.
Yeah.
And that used to scare the shit out of me when I was on the road. So seeing that, I was like, and it took me like, you know, it took me a week to get used to it being there. So
then on the day of the race, they take the car out. Like, oh, by the way, that.
Look at that thing. So, Forrest, let me ask you this: what is your favorite corner of any racetrack?
Oof. I would say at the I'll get told off for not saying the TT, but at the Ulster Grand Prix, there's a corner called Lockers, which is named after Ian Locker.
Locker, yeah.
It's fifth gear, it's blind, it's just amazing when you get it right. Massive fifth gear power wheelie coming out of there if you get it right. If you get it wrong, you've screwed your lap, because it's all uphill from there. It's so steep, and that right from the bottom, to the top, you're just building speed all the time, and that's how you get your lap time around there. It's one of the most rewarding corners I've ever, and probably actually not the first time I went there, but there's a corner called Flow Bog, and I crashed there, and the first time I did the Ulster Grand Prix, I snapped my femur, broke my ankle, fractured my back. It was a big, big
crash,
a big one.
Yeah.
But now it's one of my favourite overtaking points. So
what doesn't kill you makes you love it more.
Yeah.
But like I kind of smashed this little tree, and there was just like this little tree stump that I, took out. But like that's a fourth gear corner. It's fast, and you can, if you get it right, you can run around the outside of people on the exit, which then puts you on the inside for the next corner. So it's like, it's amazing.
Perfect.
That's awesome.
That reminds me of like every corner of freaking Saxon Ring, yo. Like if I was able to, I've never done a track day, but like once I get nasty at it, I feel like Saxon Ring would probably be one of my favorite tracks to do because of those like wicked corners, and it looks it looks flowy. It looks very flowy.
Yeah.
Slowly becoming a Marc Marquez fan, so it's definitely not biased there. To piggyback off of Chris's question, if what are your top 3 favorite tracks that you may have written, or like it could be the ones that you've written or you want to ride?
I think top 3 that I've ridden, obviously TT, Ulster Grand Prix. It would be hard to pick a third because there's so many goods. If it was road racing, I probably couldn't pick an Irish road race. They've all got their different quirks. I really enjoyed the Enniskillen 100, which that was like, but that circuit was so wild. It was like doing motocross because it's built on marshland, so all the tarmac's like just, you're like riding the waves the whole way around. So, and then short circuits, but for circuits that I, like to ride, Laguna Seca's got to be up there. That's got to be.
The corkscrew. The famous corkscrew. Or turn 1.
Turn 1 for sure.
Turn was the killer.
I think, other shorts. Well, Nürburgring's got to be there, isn't it? It's got to be,
Nürburgring's tough, dude.
Yeah. I'd quite like to do Phillip Island as well in Australia.
Yeah, I would like to go there too.
What about Cadwell Park? Have you been there? You ridden there?
Oh, yeah, I've done Cadwell. I'm not very good around Cadwell, but I love the place. I do love the place. It's...
How's the jump?
I was just gonna say, yeah.
It's amazing.
Oh, dude, that slow mo jump.
I bet, yeah.
Yeah.
So
it's good. You just gotta, there's a technique to it for sure. I'm far from the best at it, but there's definitely a technique for getting, you've just got to sort of get the left right, but you're setting the left up to get the right hander, and then you just deck it and, just pin the thing and just
pin it.
Off you go.
Over the moon on that shit.
Yeah,
actually, if you don't mind, real quick, let me extend that question to the boys here, because we never really talked about this kind of stuff. I guess it's just the mystique of the Axeman. Andy, top 3 tracks.
Top 3 tracks. Ooh.
I'd like to hear some of this as well.
Sure.
Actually.
Okay. Well,
Yeah.
I mean, I guess my local track would be one track that's a favorite of mine. Jennings GP is over in north of Florida. It's a track that I visit normally, and it's my home track. My home track. It's the place that I go to and race. Phillip Island's in the top, and we're going there next. And Probably Mugello. I'm a huge MotoGP.
I knew it.
MotoGP
I knew it.
fan. So Mugello,
Called it.
Mugello be on the top. Yeah.
Show.
Magello for sure.
I knew it.
Catalunya.
Ooh, Catalunya.
I like
Oh,
Catalunya a lot because it's Catalunya is a sweet track.
it is.
My third one, I would have to say Phillip Island.
Damn.
Yeah.
Phillip Island's getting a lot of love tonight.
Yeah.
It's a sweet track.
Well,
Yeah.
So again, I've never ridden it, but if I had a choice, right? I would definitely want to try Coda. I think Coda is freaking wicked.
Yeah.
I want to do Silverstone because I'm a Rins fan, and that's where like Silverstone smoked Marquez on that last corner. So I definitely want to do that. And for my third track, you know what? This one's kind of a sleeper because it slowly crept up on me, and I kind of really like it. Motegi is pretty dope. Motegi's pretty dope. I won't lie.
Yeah. I did Silverstone for the first time this year, and it's the national limit. Yeah, amazing.
Mega.
It's insane. I could only imagine because that track is like, I forgot what turn it was before that really long straight. I'm like, oh man, that looks so wicked.
I should know that.
I'm like that's wicked. And I'm always nasty at that track in the video games.
Yeah. No, but that place, I've never been on a GP track, so it was my first time. I'm used to racing like Cadwell Park. Narrow stuff. So, and then went to and Silverstone's got like tarmac runoff as well. So, the first lap I went flying into turn one, thinking because it looks real fast, but it's not. So I went flying into turn one, and I just went, sort of overshot it, but it was fine because it was tarmac. So it was,
you have all that real estate.
No problem.
Yeah. You have all that real estate to mess up.
Yeah.
Do you? I guess I'm just gonna ask it like to your knowledge. Are you a fan of any other like American tracks? Like
yes,
bringing you here besides Laguna Seca and like. Coda.
I forget what it's called though. It's on the Moto America calendar, and it was quite recent. And honestly, they're coming over the brow of this hill, and the track just drops away like
Birmingham. I think that's Birmingham, Alabama, where it's like a just straight death drop down.
Honestly, like a death slide. It's just, and you've got no choice but the front wheel just comes up with that. You've got no choice. And it looked insane.
Yeah. I could think of a couple American tracks. Chris, help me out on this one.
I'm trying to. At first, I thought it was Brainerd, but
it was racing. It was within the last 2 or 3 months on the calendar.
Brainerd.
So
it's Brainerd.
It could be Brainerd. Yeah. You couldn't pay me enough to do some shit like that. Like there was a video. I think it went kind of viral for Moto America. It was in their last. I don't know if you've seen it, but it was on the last track of the year, which is in Birmingham, Alabama.
Right. Yeah.
And then it was footage from last year where it was pouring. I'm talking like 2 inches of rain. Like
yeah.
And one of my favorite rider, Matthew Skoltz, kind of like fell off the bike, and the bike was just sliding down the water, and he's just holding down the clutch. So when you mentioned like this giant like drop, that's the first thing I thought of. I was like, yeah, man, you couldn't pay me enough to do that. You know what I mean?
You always slide faster when it's raining as well. You just go for miles. It's
and does it hurt less?
I'd say so, yeah, because you're not digging in, you're not getting the friction burns, so you just slide it.
I can just imagine the leathers don't get hot, so that's
it's like cooling down your scars.
It's like a big slip and slide, it's good.
That's what I was gonna say.
So what plans do you have for the rest of this year as far as racing, or is that done?
This year I'm done. I've done so much this year. I've been very lucky, but yes. I've been lucky and unlucky in places. I mean, there's definitely been ups and downs this year, but I've done a lot of events, and I did Stock 1000 Thruxton recently. That's probably one of my favourite short circuits, because it's like a great big, it's like a big roundabout, and you just sat there smoking the tyre for 15 laps, So, but yeah, no, I'm done for this season. One thing I hate talking about is money, but I've just run out of money, so it's
and it's getting colder now.
It's understandable.
Yeah.
Racing is expensive, and money is the one thing that we need to be out there. And it's understandable.
Yeah. And I was thinking about it earlier. It's like, but it's not that bad if your biggest problem is trying to find money to go race. It's not, life's not that bad.
Yeah.
Forrest, let me ask you, who are your sponsors? I mean, besides Suzuki and
well, Suzuki don't sponsor me, for one. I wish they did.
Okay.
Suzuki, we need a sponsor.
Yeah, Suzuki, what's going on?
You're not in GP anymore, so you have all this money laying around. Like, what's good?
Exactly. I've got an extensive list of sponsors. There's honestly the amount of. I mean, we work on the premise that it'd probably take me about 10-15 minutes to go through the list.
You can plug them later. Don't worry.
Yeah. Well, I usually plug them on social media, because it's just it's too. You can't do it. People interviewing you won't let you.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I mean, they do. I couldn't do it without them. They know who they are. They know how important they are to me. We don't work on, we sort of work on everyone grouping together to get me, that is like it. A lot of them have been there for a long time. There's new guys that have come on board this year, and it's been amazing. I've not really had the best season, and I feel like, because I always feel like I've got to do them justice. I want to do well for them. I want to do well for myself, but I'm a people pleaser. So, it's.
I mean,
so
just to get sponsors already, I feel like you're doing something right.
There
are some people that just can't get shit at all.
Yeah.
Like us.
Well,
what the fuck? Why can't we get a spot?
Well, there's plenty of people that do that. There's plenty of people that say, "Hey, I'm going to go racing this year. Sponsor me," and it's like, or "Hey, I might go racing this year. Sponsor me." But it took me. I think one of my. I think my first sponsor came on in the first season, but it was like maybe 2 to 3 years before I really started getting. Help and there's been some that have come and gone, but the majority of them have stayed with me. Like I've got guys that have been with me for 5 or 6 years now, which has been amazing. You can't, they're more than sponsors, they're friends as well. Yes. It's not,
that's always the best.
Yeah, and they're always there. They've always got my back. If I have, like I had a big crash earlier this year at the Tandragee road race, and they're all there. Everybody mucked in to make sure that I got to the TT. There's so much, honestly, the levels and distance that people went to make sure I got to the TT was insane. And then I didn't have a great TT, so I felt like I hadn't done them justice. And I mean, I got COVID sort of just before the TT, and I basically couldn't breathe for 2 months. So I really didn't put in the performance that I wanted to this year. So that
That has to be challenging. I'm sorry, Jules. That has to be challenging. I have a buddy of mine. He's in the UK, and COVID got hit. You guys got hit real hard with that.
Yeah. I think because it's such a small place, and whether you like it or not, the country's overpopulated, so it was bound to happen. But what annoyed me, I deal with different people every day and have done right since the start of the pandemic, because I'm a courier. Like I drive a van for a living. Okay. So I saw people every day for 2 years and didn't get it, and then I got it, because the TT was cancelled for 2 years.
Correct. Yeah.
And then I got it just before the TT when it came back, and I was like,
No.
Yeah. Why now? Why now?
Freaking
yeah,
bats.
exactly.
Yeah.
So, and because I was thinking, I must have had it because, and I was thinking, oh, I must be a tough guy, because I didn't notice it, but when I actually got it, I noticed it. Yeah.
Yeah, I
You
don't
know.
know about these two, but I guess I had. I mean, I tested negative for it, but I'm pretty sure I had somewhat of it. And I was like, I would not wish this upon like my worst enemy. Like I was feeling so terrible, dude.
Yeah.
Some people receive it differently. Like
Yeah, it hit me hard.
it hit you hard.
I
Yeah.
didn't get it. I didn't
Yeah,
get it at all.
no, you never got it. But like when I got it, I was like, bro, like I literally couldn't do anything. I was like, I mean, like I wasn't like struggling to breathe or anything. Like I wasn't feeling like death, but it's just like,
Yeah.
like, man, this is probably one of the worst sicknesses I felt in a minute. I was like, whew,
Yeah.
wee. But it took me like, I guess like 4 or 5 days to get better from that.
It took me like
It took me nearly 2 months.
it took me months. Yeah, it took me a month, and I got COVID before everybody. I got COVID before COVID was COVID. Okay, I got COVID.
Yeah.
I got COVID in December, and COVID didn't blow up until January. So I already had it
Yeah.
and went through it, and I was sick for like month and a half. I want to push it 2 months, but yeah, it took me a little while, and then the last 3 weeks, this was congestion and phlegm and nasty stuff.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. My man got the Superman version of COVID before we found a little bit of its kryptonite.
So, Forrest, let me ask you this: as far as like racing on short circuits and racing at a road race like the Isle of Man, right? So, obviously your motorcycle is set up differently, right? So, what are the changes, and how do you set it up differently between both tracks? Because my opinion, you would want a softer bike at the Isle of Man TT for
the bumps,
right?
Well, yes, that is like that is the question really. As a rule, yeah, you would want a softer bike, but
what do you
it's hard to.
what do you do to your bike, Forrest?
Yeah. What do you do?
I wing it.
I love it.
He said, "I'll wing it."
Shout out
like,
Cody Cochran because he does the same thing before every Moto America race.
Yeah. No, I normally what I do is go around, ask everybody else what they're doing, and then take an average, and then just go from there.
Okay.
Like he told me 3 more clicks in my preload.
Yeah.
I'm gonna do 2.5.
Yeah.
Well, it has to.
No, it's as a rule, I would say you want the bikes longer, a bit lower at the back end, but that's sort of that as a general rule. You definitely don't want them too stiff, but at the same time, you don't want them too stuff. It's the black art, isn't it? It's.
It is.
I can already tell that it's very challenging to set up your motorcycle to this road track because I mean you have so many sections. Some are uphill, some are in the city, some are in the country, mountains. So I can just imagine the challenge that you racers go through with setting up your machine, which probably never is what you're after.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think my fastest lap round there was on a soft setup, but then the bikes that I was riding this year actually felt better when they were stiffer, but I still couldn't pull the lap time. It was just, and I think that the COVID had quite a lot to do with that. So regardless of the setup this year, I wasn't really fit to compete, and I'm sure if somebody else jumped on my bike, they'd go faster. So it's kind of,
Forrest, let me ask you something else. Generally, I'm trying to get our viewers an idea, okay, of what type of speeds you're doing around those 37.75 miles, because the average is like 150, 160. Is that right?
No, so the fastest man, his average is like 135.
Okay.
My fastest average is 125.
Crazy.
Getting it.
Yeah,
getting it.
So like that it's very rare that you're below, you know, because you got like stock road gearing, pretty much. So it's very rare that you're below fourth gear. You spend most of it in fifth and sixth, you know, the majority, fourth, fifth, and sixth. But you know, there's obviously slower sections, but you're not going slow for that long. It's just and that's why it's just mind blowing.
Yeah.
You know, and you kind of got to just get into a rhythm around there. That's the hardest bit, is to get into a rhythm. And once you're there, like, I mean, like the senior TT in 2019, I was there. I could have done 12 laps. You know, I could have done 100 laps that day. I was just
in the zone.
I was there. I was there, and it was like, you know, and I want to find that again. You know. But you, at that, when you're in that zone, you don't really like. I didn't notice the speed. Things weren't coming at me quickly. You know, it was just happening, and it was like, that's the feeling. You know, that's the one you want.
Yeah, your body just kind of just takes over after a while.
Yeah, it just autopilot. You just go out and just go, and that's, you know.
It has.
There was one thing that I keep forgetting to ask our racers, because we had a couple racers on this podcast.
Just one or two.
More than a couple.
We had a couple.
Yeah.
Had a couple. Which shocked the hell out of me. Shout out to these guys, man. The show and Delix, man.
That's Chris, man. Chris.
But because I do it too, you know, while I'm like racing go-karts, and sometimes when I'm on my bike. Do you verbally talk to yourself while you're racing?
Yeah.
Like verbally, like you're like in your helmet, like I gotta make the turn, slow down, fast. Because I do that. I do that a lot.
I call myself a few profanities every now and then if I've messed something up. I definitely. If things are getting a bit wild, I'll scream, you know, just let you know. Like, you know, I was screaming at one of my friends at Silverstone earlier this year. Actually, like, he come past me, and then I just got in for the toe for a couple of laps, and I was like screaming at him. You know, like it was just, you know, like I was buzzing. You know, we're having a great time. You know,
I'm gonna get you.
Just like you can imagine like a GoPro to his visor, and it's like this. It's like
coming to get you.
Well, you can get these. You can get. I've seen you can get like a camera now that goes in just
in your helmet
inside your.
No,
yeah. So
that's cool.
You don't have to see all that. No, thank you.
It goes in this area here. You can see, film everything as it goes on, which is awesome. I see that. Yeah.
And you can obviously hear what people are saying.
But Forrest, watching the Island Man TT on TV does not give it justice to what you're experiencing, because I can just imagine the mental focus, and you're not paying attention what's going on here. You're paying attention what's going on like 10, 15, 20, 30 feet in front of you, and also further. Look at that, further. And imagining which one. Okay, I turn 17. Here comes 18 to the right, and I got a bump that I got to watch out for, and then we're going uphill. I got to make sure that I'm downshifting to get, you know, all that has to be. Man, so much going on, you know.
It is.
Yeah, I mean that's where the, you know, experience comes in. The you know, the fastest men are the experienced men. You know, they're certainly, you know, until like there's a lot more superbike riders coming now, but before they started appearing, the fastest guys were the oldest guys.
Of course, but they've been doing it for years. I mean,
and it's muscle memory. You know, it's
Exactly. But Forrest, to us, you're the professional, brother. You're doing this. You're doing this. You know what I mean?
Far from professional.
Listen, Forrest, the closest I've been, Isle of Man, is playing on my PS4.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
That's it.
Nothing like it. Nothing like it.
I'm sure. Yeah.
And I just wash out every time.
Yeah,
'Cause, like,
I'll let you into a little secret. This is an exclusive for this podcast and this podcast only.
Okay, I love it.
Actually, I might not be allowed to let you into this one. I better be careful, but just wait for the next game. That's all I can say.
Okay.
Oh.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, shoot.
Do you play video games?
Yes, not much because I don't have a lot of time to do it, but I do. You know, I'll get on for an hour every now and then.
MotoGP or Ride 4?
The what?
MotoGP or Ride?
I actually prefer Wreckfest, which is like a banger racing game, like a destruction derby.
Okay.
Oh my god.
Yeah. That's awesome.
You know,
Just kicking people off.
I've got Ride 4, but I'm not very good at it. I've got the TT game.
Same.
You know,
Does that interest you,
suck at
Forrest? Derby riding? Does that interest you?
destruction derby. Yeah, I'd love to have a go. Yeah.
Me too, man.
Yeah, yeah.
Me too.
Just have a bat on you. Bing, and then like.
Yeah.
One of the things that I do like going back to like, you know, what you talking to yourself. I wanted to bring this up. One of my favorite Disney movies is Cars, right?
Yeah.
So until Disney makes a motorcycle movie, that's one of my favorite movies. So
yeah.
literally, when I'm in my helmet, and the boys are gonna laugh at this. When I'm in my helmet and I'm like doing go-karts, I'm like I am speed, I'm speed, and I pass them like I'm speed, bitch, I'm speed. I told you I was
That's
speed.
awesome.
I told you I was speed. Took off my visor. I get hyped.
I used to whistle the. I don't know if you guys have ever watched Wallace and Gromit. Yeah. So I used to whistle. It just used to come into my head. The theme tune. It's totally mad.
No freaking
Don't know
way.
why. I'd just be bored and I'd start whistling, and that was, you know, or humming the tune. It started once. I was like filtering through traffic on the road one day, and I was just like bored and was just doing it. And then it does happen on the smaller bikes when I'm racing, you know, because like on like a Super Twin, you sort of get bored, so you start thinking about things and singing.
Is that your comfort song when things get nasty at the track or at the Ironman?
Probably.
Your
Yeah.
comfort song? So my comfort song, like again, like when I'm like riding my bike, I have a GSXR 750. So,
Nice.
So when I'm like beaming it to work, or like I'm on a ride out and just like riding through the canyons here in New York. My comfort song, and I have my headphones in my ears. So like my comfort song would probably be like Spice Girls.
Yeah.
Like it's just like, oh, come on. And I'm like, I'm in the groove. If you
I can get with that. If you want to be my lover.
just make love to the machine, man. Treat the machine with respect. You know what I mean?
I usually sing Journey.
Oh,
What?
I have a
do.
couple.
Journey. I sing Journey.
Nice.
I was a small town girl
Yeah.
living in a lonely world.
I can see Chris just like hands loose.
I took the midnight ride going anywhere.
I think the boys refer to like music probably either pumps them up or settles them down. I'm the type of dude that I'm crazy on the road. And I've had my license suspended in the past, so listening to that kind of stuff is probably not good for me. I need more mellow.
Oh, so it would
relax.
amp you up more.
Yeah.
It's hard to to control that beast, you know.
I would hate if DMX came on Andy's headphones while he's riding.
I'm going to jail. I'm going to jail.
Going to jail. DMX comes on.
What?
Yeah.
And then he has the RSV4. So
Yeah.
This is.
I'd say back in the old days, you know, DMX, Rough Riders, they were probably one of my bigger inspirations, you know.
That's right.
Certainly on the road.
It would make me go crazy on the track. It was it was either Spice Girls for me or the Power Rangers theme song. So
nice.
I usually ask this to a lot of our guests because I'm new this. Oh my god, you guys should be really tired of me saying this, but these guys aren't, because I'm new to the sport, 2.5 years in.
Yeah,
I came from ball sports, so I played a lot of basketball, right? Played in teams. I've traveled state to state. Did you play any sort of sport growing up aside from motorcycle racing? Or are you into any sports?
I mean, I did try, like I did football in like, you know, primary school. Didn't really, you know, wasn't really my thing. Went on to do rugby in secondary school. Again, I was more interested. Like I'm quite a keen surfer, so I was more interested in going surfing at the weekend. You know,
Yeah, me too.
And actually. Mountain biking, you know, that was my passion. Real, you know, I used to go everywhere, you know, miles and miles every day. You know, I used to cycle to school every day, cycle home from school. We'd go, you know, like street ride or do dirt jumping, skate parks. You know, that was what we did as kids. That was, you know, and that happened, you know, that until I was 17, until I got a car. So, and then, well, cars, women, beer.
That all went out the window.
Yeah.
That's his history.
Yeah.
So you've been through like pretty much everything cycling related. So you've been like BMXing, and you've done like the speed cycles too.
Yeah. I didn't get my first motorbike until I was 19. It was sort of, I actually got my license. I got suspended, or well, disqualified, and then I was trying to insure, you know, because we've got like rubbish cars over here. So I was trying to insure like a Ford Fiesta 1 litre, and it was like £2,000. Whereas like a ZX6R Ninja was like £1,000. So
that's a no-brainer. Yeah.
I was like, I'm doing my bike license. And that's where it started, really, for me.
It's funny you mention that, because you get a light speed machine for significantly less than a decent speed car.
Yeah.
So here in New York, I don't know if I could speak much for these guys because they're in other states.
Yeah.
But here in New York, the car scene is big. So like all these guys are putting like turbos, engine swapping their cars, because we have real estate for that.
Yeah.
The roads are wide enough to gun it.
I've watched Fast and the Furious.
Nice.
And that's what everybody thinks here. Literally every Saturday night, like down the block to this mall that I live near.
Yeah.
In the parking lot, they would have their trunks open. I hear like Latino music and like reggaeton and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And then someone come out in like a wife beater, bald, sunglasses in the nighttime. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But what I'm trying to say is that these guys, they would have shirts that be like "Die by Speed," live to race.
Yeah.
And then I pull up with my Gixxer, and I'm like, so then why don't you guys have a bike?
Yeah. Yeah, I used to do.
What's this guy
like
talking about? What's this guy talking about? What bike? What bike?
Yeah.
That's dangerous, bro. That's dangerous.
Yeah.
I'm like, really?
Yeah. And they always say what?
Die by Speed?
Yeah. And they always say what you're going to do when it starts raining. You know,
I know. That's
A fucking
all the
ride in the
time.
rain?
Right in the rain.
Yeah.
That's what I do.
Yeah.
Shit. At 155 miles an hour? like you know what I mean? But yeah, I always come after those car guys because they seem to puff their chest out.
Oh, yeah.
Like, you know, like people, especially my favorite people to fuck with are people with the Dodge Challengers.
Oh yeah.
Like the Hellcats.
Yeah.
The ones that are only fast in a straight line.
Yeah.
And I tell them like, yo, get a bike.
Yeah.
Oh nah.
I see. I like my big. You know, I'm a big fan of V8s. Anything V8, and you got my. You know, I'm interested. So.
That's right.
I kind of probably should have been born in America in the States, you know, but just
come through, man.
Yeah.
Get your Moto America license. Come race for us.
Well, Chris Tulloch was on about that, so there's maybe there's maybe something in the pipeline for that one day.
Very cool.
Bring you guys here. I mean, we have Max Flinders. I mean, I don't know if he's like a. I don't know if he's a legitimate like someone from UK, even though he was born there.
I don't really. I don't know him like that well. You know, like I've heard the name, you know, but like I don't. You know, it's sort of. I kind of pay more attention to the guys in the road racing scene, you know, because that's who I'm obviously.
You stick to what you stick to what you know, what you're doing, which is good.
And like Stock 1000 as well, you know. Stock 1000 interests me because it's, you know, it's not the big money category. It's
right.
Same.
It's something I can compete in, you know. So it's, you know,
yeah. To more of a different degree, that's kind of the reason why, compared to these guys, I'm more of a World Superbike fan versus MotoGP.
World Superbikes is amazing.
It is amazing.
Right?
Yeah.
Because, you know, they got, you know, like the greatest of all time.
Yeah.
You know, who am I talking about, boys? Who am I talking about?
Toprak.
Toprak Razgatlioglu.
Yeah.
Greatest of all time. Future GOAT.
Yeah, he is. To be honest, Toprak's definitely, I think he's struggling this year. Obviously, Bautista's giving it
a little hard time.
You know, he's.
I don't know what you're talking about. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah,
it's not him. It's the team. The team.
But you can't forget Johnny Ray either. It's a three-way battle really.
Oh yeah.
You know, Johnny will always be there or thereabouts. You know, love him or hate him, he's. You know, I think, you know, one thing I hate is when we seem to get it a lot over here with guys like Johnny Ray and Cal Crutchlow, as people will sort of, you know, they'll, you know, disrespect them on social media. They'll talk trash about them, and you're like, these are our guys. You know, you shouldn't be doing that. You should be supporting them. And you think, well, if those guys are getting that sort of treatment, then what hope have I got? You know, it's like, you know,
right.
So
for Cal Crutchlow's defense, I'm gonna stick up for the guy. The guy will tell you straight out how he feels, and he don't care. And I love that about him.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, and that's the way it should be. You know, it's not. I think motorsport nowadays is too politically correct.
Yeah.
It's you know, if you look back, I don't know if you've ever watched the Unridables.
Yes.
Have you watched that?
Yes.
That's the way it should be. That's
yes.
Yeah, and that's, you know, that's the way racing should be. But it's got
times have changed.
It's on Amazon Prime.
Yeah, it's on Amazon Prime.
Yeah, to watch it on Amazon.
Yeah.
Forest, times have changed.
All right, so I'll give it a watch. Times have changed. Like not to come off on one of your fellow countrymen like Scott Reddy.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but dude complains literally every single pass.
I like Scott. You know, he's
shut
just. I think he's getting it tight this year. He's having a hard time. You know, and that's. You know.
He's figuring it out.
Yeah, he's getting there.
He's figuring out that BMW. Yeah. He's been really impressive with that thing. It's just that last weekend where he just kept crashing.
I love.
It's just.
Yeah.
I love Scott Redding. I love the fact that before he retired from MotoGP or left MotoGP, he threw out literally all his gear to the fans and walked. And he went riding back on his underwear back to the pits. I love that.
Yeah.
I do the same shit.
Anyone to
too.
break
He was we were doing the I don't know if you remember a guy called Barry Simmons. He used to manage Honda and JPS Norton, you know, proper teams back in well, probably before I was born. But he used to organise a superbike test every year down in Spain, and Scott Redding came down, and he was like, you know, he had accommodation down there. He was there all winter, but he had a stock bike and a supermoto, and he was sleeping in his van with his dog, which is sadly passed away now. But, you know, like what, you know, that guy's probably got all the money in the world, and he's still, you know, sleeping in the van.
Doing it like you. Doing it like the privateers.
Being a normal guy. Yeah. So,
because some people miss that stuff, yo.
I love that.
And a lot of that sort of thing is missing, I think, from the paddocks nowadays. There's too many people turning up with, you know, great big articulated lorries and
RVs.
You know,
those are RVs.
Yeah.
Giant 18-wheeler.
Yeah.
Air conditioning.
It sure is nice. It sure is nice to come in and pull into a track like that, you know. But it's more natural to come up, you know, like me on a little trailer with your bike in the back and a cooler full of beers, and you're coming over to have a good time.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Now, gentlemen, we did reach that hour mark. So
My fault,
I don't want to
probably.
take too much of your time.
No, not at all.
No. It's great. We actually prefer it if the guests carry the show. It's great because we get to learn a lot.
I can talk forever.
But before. Oh, so can they.
Don't worry, Forrest. There will be a part 2 with you for sure.
Yes.
Oh man, yeah.
Anytime you want to come back, brother.
Anytime.
Anytime you want to come back. So before I close the show, is there anything either the show or Andelix want to say?
I'm going to start it off. I once again, I just want to thank Forrest for coming onto our show and give us the opportunity to ask you some questions. You're more than welcome to come back and return. We're going to definitely keep a close eye to you for next season. And we want to wish you the best, okay? We understand that the road racing that you're involved is extremely dangerous, more dangerous than any other type of racing that's going on right now. And we just want to recognize that. Okay. So thank you for giving us the opportunity. I'll leave the panel to the gentleman now.
I just want to say, man, I appreciate it, Forrest. It's been an absolute pleasure, and all the conversations we've had, before now, and we'll continue to have after this. I'm a plug in always on my social media. I'm Pin the Gas. Put your name out there, help you as much as we can. So anytime you got something new in, send it to me. I put it out there for you, absolutely. And man, it's been an honor, Forrest. And I can't wait to have you on again.
Hell yeah, because I know there's some more that you want to tell us. I could tell.
Oh,
it's just the story's just cycling through his head. It's like, shit, there's more I wanted to talk about.
I've got an extra large helmet because there's so much in there.
And we got more questions.
Definitely got more questions.
It's like there was this one time where this guy passed me and I thought he sucked. So. But anyway, you know what? That was episode 18, guys. 2 more episodes and we're on season 2. Can you believe that? Season 1.
I know, that's fast, right?
That was quick. That was so quick. But like I said, I appreciate the Axeman, Forest Dunn, for coming into our show. As always, I appreciate the show, Chris the Show Simko, for getting them on here. Andy and Delix Rowe with the fire-burning questions. And I like to say thank you to myself because I edit like a beast, so I can't wait to edit your freaking intro. But until then, season 2, I am Cool Jules, and I would like to say peace out.